And good morning, because it's morning somewhere, I suppose. This is my first kind of commentary over video on any kind of car racing or sim racing. This is Automobilista 2, which came out like around a year and a half ago, and it was in a bad old state. So this is my first race online. I qualified in 10th, and I dropped straight back to 11 because I missed the peak rolling start point. This is a very interesting race. There's a lot of clean racing going on here on the track. As you can see in front of me, there's a few issues with three wides going on, but people are keeping it close. It's a mixture of people in this lobby. So you've got people who have no experience with sim racing, as you can clearly see, and people that are a lot more experienced, which would be the front runners who at the end I think have a 9-second lead over the top 2-3 positions. I'm rocking the BMW here, of course. I'm too attuned to Assetto Corsa Competizione. As you can see, I'm just trying to run as balanced as I can, because when it comes to sim racing, it's important to have speed. It's important to always be on the limit. But when it comes to a lobby situation, consistency generally wins here. As you can see, maybe there's a little bit of a hit there now, but maybe I didn't leave the space. You should always leave the space. But in this situation, maybe I cut him off a little bit. The Spielberg Ring is a kind of a strange track, really. It's most known, obviously, for its Formula 1 on a yearly basis, known as the Styrian Grand Prix, I think it was last year, and the Austrian Grand Prix. As you can see here, I've already kind of moved up a few sneaky positions because a few people got kind of bent out of shape on, I think it was turn 5 or 6. So already I'm in position 7. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to stay in this position for quite some time. In fact, you could argue I don't do any overtakes for the rest of this race, but sometimes it's better just to hold your position as we move into lap 2 of the race. Now, in front of me, the driver actually who stayed in front of me for this entire session, I was trying to get a little bit of a draft off him, or a little bit of, a boost down those straights, but he was absolutely gone most times. Actually, in the last lap or two, I started catching him. Behind me, I have a driver called Luke. Now, Luke is going to actually perform an overtake on me either on this lap or on the next lap. A pretty clean overtake. I think it's actually right here, just as I mentioned it. He just came around the corner there, and I took a really bad line into that corner, and I took scrubbed way too much speed off myself, really. So Luke stays here in front of us for quite a bit, actually. As you can see, he's a stable driver, but he has a little bit of an issue down the line that kind of sends him off track. Out in first place here is a chap called Hermano Kart 12. He seems to be like a lightning bolt. Even at the beginning of the race, he was hitting 135.8, which is, it's not great for a mid-race kind of session, but from a start, that's he's lap 1. We haven't seen a lap 2 from yet, so he started really fast and he kept the consistency. When it comes to sim racing, there's a few things you got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind that it's a long race. It's not a sprint. Even a 30-minute sprint race is not a sprint. It's a case of adjusting and suiting your driving style to that longer duration. Here I took a little bit of PSI out of my tires, and I adjusted my brake ducts slightly as well, so that my rear ducts would stay hotter and my front ducts would actually get colder quicker, because I let a little bit more air run through them. So now we're on again onto lap 3. This lap is kind of uneventful, if I'm going to be honest. There's a few kind of issues on track with other racers, but I kind of hold my line here. At the moment, I'm 8 seconds, 8.5, nearly 9 seconds off the leader's pace. They're just absolutely gone. As you can see, I picked the BMW, as I mentioned before, because I thought it would be, it'd be up there and competitive. But as you can see inside in Automobilista 2, that the McLaren and the Porsche seem to run riot, as they used to do in Assetto Competizione. Here we go. We're heading down to this dangerous turn again. We've lost a lot of drivers on this turn in this race so far, and it nearly caught me out here. You can see I'm getting a lot of slip through that corner, and I'm just pretty much taking away a lot of speed from myself. I find that this area of the circuit, especially on a game like Automobilista, it's quite difficult to judge. I'm not going to lie, I'm a braking line person normally, so this race was kind of a bit of a reality check, and I didn't get to use my old friend, the braking line. You can see Luke is making a massive gap on me. Already he's nearly pulled up to a second. You're talking 0.6 of a second in parts. Actually, he's pulled well over a second now at this stage. And we're heading down towards the last corner of the track. And we're heading to start lap 4. As I said, lap 3 was pretty uneventful. But lap 4, there's a little bit more action at the end of lap 4. But for the moment, again, I'm trying to keep my lap time tidy. I'm trying to keep in the tow of the two cars that are immediately in front of me. and just trying to keep consistent, really. Trying to keep off the curves too much. The curbs can definitely spin you and put you into a wrong turn very easily. Again, we're heading up down the straight, and we're heading to this massive braking zone here, where I usually brake around the 120 mark, and then I try and turn a ring. It's a little bit of a cut there, but look, for argument's sake, we'll say it was a generous cut. It wasn't anything illegal. I was using my crew chief application in the background when I was actually doing this race. So from here, time to time, I was going, what's the delta to the car in front and what's the delta to the car behind? And of course, if anyone wants to check out Crew Chief, it's completely free of charge to download, and it works with most simulation. You can see there Luke actually lost traction on that deadly bend that we were talking about earlier, which again leaves me directly behind my friend in 7th place at the moment. So I've re-picked up that spot that Luke had taken off me a few laps ago. And again, now we're heading into the 3rd to last, into the 2nd to last corner, just coming up here. Of course, that's the corner that Yuki Tsunoda took some liberties with in Austria last year. And we're trying to keep pace with the car in front of us as much as we can. And again, here you're going to see something interesting should happen by the end of this lap. Yes, you briefly saw it there, sorry about that, but the car in front of us actually spun out, which gave us an opportunity, and the car in front of me an opportunity to move up a place in the order. And this is going to become more commonplace as the race goes on. People seem to get more accident prone, which is commonly understandable when cars are chasing them within a closer proximity. It seems to put the pressure on the driver. I know that in the past I've suffered from it as well. Now, I'm not running any kind of major setup. I'm running a Logitech G29 with the stock pedals, stock wheel. I'm not using a shifter as it is sequential here anyway. And to be honest, I'm using automatic clutch as well. So anything that can kind of take away complications, that gives me time to focus on the driving and make the user focus on the driving on track, I think is really important. And again, you can see we're coming down here to this dangerous corner. And again, I got a little bit of a tighter line here, a little bit more on the track, a little less up with the curbs. But again, you can see that at this stage, I've moved up to 5th place because yet again, one of the leaders out front has made a tragic mistake and has given ourselves, the 2 cars here, the gap to move in front. I was getting a little bit worried. As you can see behind me, Free Rocks Pro was getting very close. He was getting very close to my Delta here, and it was making my driving a little bit more erratic than it should be. As you can see, we're coming down again to the 2nd to last corner. And then we're going to pull into a little bit wider again, a bit gracious on the track limits. And here we go. We're heading into the 2nd to last lap. Actually, sorry about that. We finished, crossed the line, and we are now in 4th position. So here we go for our last lap of the race here today. Before we do some celebratory donuts, because in my brain I thought I had a podium where I only had 4 positions. So you're going to encounter that in a few minutes. Nothing really much changes here on this last lap. It's just good to see again that I try to keep my consistency. I try to keep my lap delta kind of in with the car in front of me. That again, a little bit of liberty taken, but it was a better corner than I've taken for most of the race so far. As you kind of progress through these scenarios and through these races, you're going to come into different variations and different scenarios where you have to perform under levels of pressure. Now, this was a 6-lap race, but beforehand I'd already gone through a 10-minute practice session and a 20-minute quali session as well. And I was really just fiddling around with the car. As I said, I had one set up for the numbering or for the Nordschleife, and I needed to adjust that to make it kind of fit into what I was doing here on the track. So I did that. I did some adjustments again, like, the downforce is adjusted for a circuit like the Nordschleife to make sure that cornering is on point. So I thought that would be a good baseline to start with my setup here for Austria. As you can see, we're coming down now to the 2nd to last corner. I sometimes find the sense of speed in the replays doesn't capture what you're feeling inside the race. So we keep close again to our main rival in front of us as we turn into the last corner. And we actually end up finishing the race in 4th position. So we've actually made a little bit of a comeback there from our 10th place in qualifying. And of course, we're going to head down here and we're going to do a few celebratory donuts to for no avail because I was in 4th place. But again, look, everyone was doing it. I'm a bit of a sheep. I follow the crowd. So let's go. Let's put a donut in there. Let's recenter the car and let's head out to track. Okay, that was my kind of first foray into commentary over my races. If you liked it, just send it out, like, subscribe there and hit the old bell, as they say. And sure, we'll talk to you soon.